Morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, February 28th, 2017. It is the last day of February. This is Walt with Forex Fusion, forexfusion.com, also known as Odysseus Online. This is a demonstration of the Forex Fusion Elite Platinum Edition, broadcasting for a couple of hours in the New York session, just about 20 minutes past the open of the New York session. We do have news coming up in about 10 minutes. We always look at the news first. This is a demonstration of the Forex Fusion Elite Platinum Edition. Forex Fusion is software designed to be trade decision support, management, and analysis. We're going to go through our dashboard, talk about a little bit about how it works, why it's so important. Then we'll look at a trade screen. If we get any dashboard alerts, we'll go ahead and open a trade, take some trades, make some money in the next couple hours. We do generally try to broadcast a demonstration 3 days a week, as long as there are presenters available. We will present for a couple of hours at New York Open and a couple of hours at the Frankfurt Open. I don't believe we had anybody presenting earlier today at the Frankfurt Open. But that's why we say if presenters are available. Take a quick look at our disclaimer. Trading Forex carries inherent risk. You can see our link in the YouTube page to view the entire disclaimer. Please do not continue watching if you do not agree with the terms of the broadcast. Back to the dashboard. We are watching to see if we get any alerts. If we do get alerts, the pop-ups will not show for the viewers at home. However, you can see the alerts that have happened on the bottom terminal of the dashboard screen. We generally suggest that Forex Fusion users use one entire MetaTrader instance to run the dashboard by itself. Ideally, you have more than one screen and you can run one just for the dashboard. Hey Anthony, how you doing today? So we're just waiting right now for news, and once news clears, we'll see if we have any opportunities pop out at us just from glancing at the dashboard or from an alert. Anthony, what's gold doing today? Good. Glad you got Fusion set up. Just added another support person here, so if you need any help, just give a shout to support or the help desk. Taking a quick look at the dashboard, we see a lot of ranging statuses, but it is early in the New York session. I'm sure that will become trending as the news gets released. Looks like the dollar Swiss franc pair has already made a lot of movement earlier in the day. We can tell that by looking at the ADR column, already well past its average range for the day. Same with the Euro Swiss. think we had some Swiss news actually. Dollar yen week. Dollar yen week. So the last alert that was produced by the dashboard was pound Swiss sell. That was a couple of hours ago. If I pull up a trading screen, we can see that pound Swiss already has made quite a move lower. It is close to its projected low for the day, so we're not probably going to see opportunities to really get in on that. Good alert, but it's a little late. I believe we did get alert way back earlier in the beginning of the European session as well, so that would have been a good alert. Looking at the dollar yen, I have zoomed out a little bit, but these charts should be the same as anybody at home has for charts. The settings should be the same. Taking a look for trade screens at the dollar yen and the euro USD. Got news in about 3 minutes to be released. We're not going to obviously enter anything ahead of the news. What it looks like we have GDP, advanced GDP, forecast to be unchanged in the United States. We also have trade balance, which sometimes can be very impactful for the US dollar. Let's see what the data looks like. There is no forecast for the trade balance. Couple minutes now. Anthony, how was your trip to Malaysia? I think we're about a month in from trying out the broadcasts and demonstrations. But a month into doing our demonstrations and our streamings of the training on YouTube live. Still a little bit getting used to it, and the only thing I think I don't like about it is that when there's a whole group of just YouTube viewers that can watch and I have no idea who they are and therefore I can't interact with them. And then the people that are logged in, I still don't get the actual lists and names, so I have to ask for shout outs. Good night. Yeah, the software works. Hello, Roland. To get an idea how the software works, I would look at the videos on the home page, Roland. Those explain more, and make sure you look at the actual Elite Platinum page. The videos for the training replays, it's all hit or miss. I mean, some sessions the replays will run 2 hours at a time, and some sessions we don't even get an alert. So it's hard to even tell from the recorded sessions which one you should start with. I would start with the shorter videos that are 2 or 3 minutes long, right on the front page of the website. Those are only well, they're actually a little bit longer. They're 4 or 5 minutes long, and you can get through them, and they go through individual trades. Tony, I think you have the right. I think point 10 is the current one. Anthony, I think point 10 is the current version. We've been pushing an update about once a week, and it's mostly just settings though that are changing. Slight miss on the GDP. Let's see. Okay, so people using a dashboard, and we have news that can impact the fundamental strength column in our dashboard. I don't handle the, okay, personal consumption. Those are all bad. All the U.S. data that's out are all misses, but all of the misses are relatively slight misses. Even the trade balance is only a slight miss, so I don't think those are going to affect our fundamental strength columns. Point one, good, okay. Anthony, all the set files that we use, you should use. The only place where there's really any reason to experiment is with the dashboard settings. And when we push out an update, especially recently, the only things different are the dashboard settings. So you can play with those. We continue to tweak those. The only thing we're changing are some of the components of the group alerts. We'll turn on different things, and because there's no way to backtest, we're just trying different combinations to see what gives us the best group alerts. So I would suggest, we actually have a group of people, doing tests and experiments on different configurations, and we put out different ones as the standard set file. If I was you, I would take the standard set file that we push, and then I would tweak it from there if you don't like the alerts it gives you, or if they don't seem to be alerts that are as good as what you can come up with. The differences are not huge, though. They come on, some things never change. In the group alerts, we always use fundamental strengths. We always use stochastic, although we'll sometimes test using either 30-minute, or we've even tested using 15-minute refresh rate, and adjusted the overbought oversold levels just to test. But very slight variations. They're not huge differences. The other things we've tweaked a little bit in testing are using either 1 hour or 4 hour refresh rates for the I'm sorry, time frames for the supply demand column and the Ichimoku column. We've used both. You can try either one to see which one you like better, which one works better for you. Nothing else really changes in our set files. You know, the tweaks are minor. If you don't feel like you're getting enough group alerts, adjust things a little bit to get more alerts in the dashboard. I mean, the more things you turn on at once in the dashboard, the more conditions you require for a dashboard group alert, you know, the fewer alerts you're going to get. We do not have any dashboard alerts yet today. The last alert was from 3 hours ago on pound Swiss. So the US dollar news is out, nothing earth shattering. There were slight miss that isn't going to affect our strength values. We do have consumer confidence in about 90 minutes. And that'll be it. Does Trump speak tonight? Anthony, our dashboard alert is the dashboard set file alert for the Stoke is 30-minute time frame 833. That should be what you have for a set file, and then on the trade charts should be the same thing on the trade charts, 30-minute 833. If that's not what you have in your set file, you might want to adjust that. But you can certainly experiment with those settings and try different things. Dashboard just did give us an alert, as you can see, for the Euro CAD, the Euro versus the Canadian dollar. I'm not going to switch over to that because, as you can see, our supply demand column and our Ichimoku columns are buy. In this dashboard, the set file, these are using 4-hour time frames for these two columns. We do have other set files for these columns where we use 1-hour time frames for these two columns. really probably the best idea to try with both. Go back to the trading screen. I did just pull up the the Euro Canadian dollar trade chart. EuroCAD is spiking, getting up towards the projected high of the day for that pair. We love seeing prices hit projected highs and projected lows earlier in the day or earlier in the session. Those are the easiest trades we have. We've got a large number here. If price for the EuroCAD can get up to the projected high, be a great place to look for a new support resistance line draw, and then a place to take a short. But we're a ways from that, so we'll go back to our watching the dollar yen. Interestingly, CAD Swiss with daily range alert earlier on. I'm going to switch over to the dashboard. I'm going to call up a CAD Swiss chart. daily range alert on the Aussie yen. Wow, real, real yen strength. Real yen strength hitting the market. Dashboard still showing ranging for a lot of pairs. When we see ranging, that's really tough conditions to take a trade. We might see everything kind of in suspended animation until the 10 o'clock news. See if we get any opportunity on non-US dollar pairs. I'm calling up a CAD Swiss trade chart to take a look at. Interestingly, on the dashboard, CAD Swiss is red all the way across. I'm a little concerned that that's just because it was a great trade and now there's no meat left on the bone, but I want to take a look at the chart and see what it looks like. Going to pull that up in a moment. Okay, bear with me. I'm just getting a CAD Swiss chart. CAD Swiss trade chart. I want to see what happened here. Okay, I did just get a, did just open up a CAD Swiss chart because we had received an alert earlier. Broken support lines always become resistance when held. Broken resistance lines become support when held. In this case, CAD Swiss, fundamentally a sell. Looks like back during the European session we did break support line, became resistance, and then had a 30 pip move down to the projected low. So that's interesting, but I mean, it doesn't help us right now. I was just wondering why it had hit its forecast low for the day, and that's why. I don't know what new if there was any news that caused that. I didn't see that. Fundamentally, that pair on our dashboard is fundamentally the CAD Swiss was a sell, and we've got reds all the way across, so that was obviously a good sell opportunity. Okay, back to what we've got so far. We do have a Euro Swiss alert now on the dashboard. All selected as a sell. Supply demand showing green. So let me call up a Euro Swiss. Euro Swiss not a pair that we trade a lot. We don't trade it a lot because the range is really, really small. As you'll see when we call up the trading screen, okay, I zoomed out a little bit on the chart. I can zoom in a little bit. Euro Swiss, I'm getting a sell. I'm getting nothing visible. I'm sure there's a value, but I'm getting no visible line for the small speculator positions. We did get an alert, a dashboard alert, saying the Euro Swiss is all sells. We have red most of the way across. Has way past its daily range to the downside. Hopefully you can see the dotted green lines here, meaning it has reached its projected low. Wow. As you can see, we're looking back through the sessions back into Asia, this Euro Swiss just crashed the entire day. Strong gold must be that. Strong gold would have helped that out. Crashing euro. It's fundamentally a sell, that pair. But the time to get in was back even during Asia. and if not Asia, at least during the European session. So back to our watched charts we'll go. No alerts on the dash, but let's take a look and see what we can see from the dash. The other way we can use it, which is just by scanning it and using color codings to look across. I did just do that for the CAD Swiss. I saw red all the way across. Unfortunately, it's already crashed. So that would mean too late. Kind of interesting, the pound Aussie. Maybe we'll take a look at that pair. Called pound Aussie chart. So I'm sure it goes without saying, we want to try to catch opportunities before they've hit their "oh no, we missed it" stage, part of what the purposes of a dashboard. Let's go back to the trading screen. I did pull up pound Aussie. You can all see what I see, which is that so far it's very much sideways. Pound Aussie is one of these high volatility pairs, so normally I would change these yellow dotted lines instead of being spaced 20 pips. Probably could go ahead and space them 50 pips. When you do that, you can see with a little perspective how sideways the movement really has been with the pound Aussie. So even though everything says it's a sell, we really need to see a little bit of a we need to see a little bit of a rise to sell into. Worth keeping an eye on though. As this is a demonstration of Forex Fusion Elite Platinum Edition, let's go quickly run through the dashboard. One of the main features of Forex Fusion Elite Platinum, all three of the main editions of Forex Fusion, dashboard is really an integral component. A dashboard allows you to do two things in particular that are very important. The first thing is to have a color-coded glance at the market and see for all the pairs you use whether you're seeing buy or sell conditions across a variety of data columns. If you see all green all across, those are probably things you want to drill down and look at a trade chart for buy opportunities, vice versa with red. Do a quick look at the trade columns in detail in a moment. The other thing that a dashboard is good for besides quick scanning while you're trading, and especially while day trading, is that the dashboard will give you group alerts. Group alerts can be set to fire when any combination of columns all has an alert status all at the same time. So for example, you want to know when fundamental strengths and correlation and stochastic are all green or red. When they're all in alert status all at the same time, you can set that. You can set any combination for any of the columns in the dashboard. You can also set standalone alerts for any of the columns. We use standalone alerts a lot for the ADR, which is average daily range. There's one other column you can't see here because it's a little off the screen, so I can make the text a little bit larger. is ASR, and that stands for average session range. Same idea as average daily range, but it's for each session. Useful for us in day trading. So those are the two main benefits you get out of using a dashboard: quick scanning ability, color coded, and group alerting. Now let's go quickly through the individual columns of data. I'll talk quickly about each column and what they stand for and what the data consists of. Obviously, symbols, you can put up to 35 symbols into each dashboard at once. Anything that's in your market watch. Strength is our proprietary strength value of fundamental strength. It uses a in-house derived formula that takes into account institutional positionings, options, volatility, a whole bunch of other things, interest rates. It is set week to week. We set it at the beginning of each week using a formula, and then it is adjusted based on news data releases during the week. To put it in simple terms, if news data comes out that is high impact and much different than expected, that will affect the strength values. And then of course the strength values are done per currency and then weighted against each other. Always the best idea to look for the easy trades, which are something that's a very much a negative currency versus something very much positive currency. As an example, the Euro-Swiss pair, look at the disparity there between the Euro and the Swiss. And you saw today what happened with that pair's movement. It's an absolute crash. So if you were only using the fundamental strengths as your only source of information, it doesn't take a genius to look through it and see that the Euro-Swiss, for example, is the best directional play. And we just called up a chart. You can see what that pair actually did. It's done 150% of its average range already. So that's fundamental strengths. Next column is correlation. Correlation means each currency's correlation with either its related equities index basket or its correlated commodity. As an example, for the Canadian dollar, let's say, the correlation is to the commodities future for West Texas crude oil. And every currency here has a correlation either to an equity index or to a commodity price, a commodities futures price, sorry. And so when one of those correlations is a positive, one's a negative, we get a very clear buy or sell for the pair. If the correlation both are the same, then the column intelligently takes a look at where we are in the day and which one should be dominant. So a very good column to use, and it also detects reversals in these items. Next thing is retail. That is a proprietary gathering and analysis of retail, that is small speculator positions across smaller MetaTrader clients. A number above 1 denotes heavy buyers, and for us we use this as a contrarian indicator. So a number higher than 1 generally for us means it's a sell. In this column we have green or red compared to a moving average, and that's why sometimes you'll see a green or red. Sometimes you'll see a green that's green even though it's above 1. That's because the value is below its moving average. But in general, a number above 1 is a sell for us. A number below -1 is a buy for us. Once these values do hit extremes, then we are looking at reversals or pullbacks. Next, stochastic. This is our volatility adjusted proprietary stochastic. Right now, one quick word about most of these columns is that they are individually configurable as to their time frames. They're multi-time frame indicators. The stochastic, supply demand, and Ichimoku especially, you can set these to your own time frames. Stochastic, we have this column set to 30-minute time frame, and I believe uses a standard overbought oversold of 80-20. When the value, of course, above 80, that's overbought, and that will turn the value red, and vice versa with green. SD supply demand uses a Samseedon formula of supply demand zones. You can set the time frame to your liking. The standard for us here is a 4-hour Ichimoku. Uses the standard MetaTrader Ichimoku. Anthony, I can send you the dashboard set file that I'm using right here. I don't think I've adjusted my own dash since the last update, but I might have. I might have adjusted a couple of things in the set file. I'll send you the dashboard set file. So again, SD supply demand using the Samseedon formula. This is set to a 4-hour time frame. The number is where the zone begins. The value will show green if we are closer to a demand zone. The number will show red if we're closer to a supply zone. Again, Ichimoku uses the built-in MetaTrader Ichimoku indicator. If the Ichimoku, has 3 components. If all 3 are in a buy state, the value will say buy and be green, vice versa for red. Excuse me for a minute. Having dogs. Apologize for that. Yeah, Anthony, I'll send you that today. The dashboard set. We're supposed to keep synchronized so that the settings pushed out in the distribution release are the same as what I broadcast. But I'll send this to you to make sure. So the trend column just uses an in-house indicator called FGDI that just detects directional movement or sideways movement. Currently set here to 15-minute time frame to make sure we're not trading in a sideways market. News is a really interesting column. I keep telling them that we should call it social media, because what it really is it looks at, it gathers a whole bunch of social media sources online and looks to see if there are positive or negative comments and stories about a particular pair, and then if there are enough to reach a threshold, it then looks at the confidence, whether those have in the past resulted in higher or lower prices for those pairs. Really kind of a really neat extra data analysis. I use it a lot to sort of break a tie when there's more than one good opportunity to take a look at. ADR, of course, is the average daily range, and this is the percentage of that daily range that we've reached, set to refresh every 5 minutes. See, the CAD yen, for example, has moved 160% of its daily range. We use this a lot, and I have a an alert set to go off when we reach 100 and, I think 120%. We use this a lot because if you get a movement way beyond an average daily range, as long as it's not fueled by a news release, then those are great opportunities, really low-hanging fruit, low-risk trades to take if you get those earlier on in the day or earlier on in the session. So let's a quick look at the dashboard components. The last alert we did get for the dashboard is Euro Swiss sell. Doesn't take a genius to see that the Euro Swiss was definitely a sell, and we did look at the trade chart, and the Euro Swiss did crash. It's been crashing since the Asian session. So there's really no meat on the bone for us to get into the Euro Swiss. We could look for a pullback, but it would have to be a pretty strong pullback for us to bother getting in on it. So just waiting right now really to see what happens with 30 minutes until the Chicago PMI, 30 minutes or 29 minutes now until the equity open. We've got consumer confidence coming up at 10 o'clock New York time. Our US dollar pairs, I'm sure, will be mostly silent until the consumer confidence figure. Let's see if we get any opportunities with non-US dollar pairs in the meantime. Looking at the pound Aussie chart, and we do have a couple other charts up, dollar yen. We'll go ahead and keep dollar yen up and euro dollar up. You can see the euro dollar is sideways. The dashboard does call it ranging. That's generous. The dashboard also does say ranging for the dollar yen. Interesting thing looking at the dashboard is the pound Swiss. I want to say we had a pound Swiss alert earlier, maybe during Asia. I'm going to call up a pound Swiss chart. Okay, I did just pull up a pound Swiss chart. You know, interestingly, the pound Swiss did crash, and that was a alert we had earlier in the day on the pound Swiss for a sell. However, we have not reached the projected low of the day for the pound Swiss yet. So if we do get an opportunity to get into that pair, that's a pair I would set a pending order for. In fact, let's go ahead and put in a pending sell line just below our last support by a couple pips. I'm not going to activate that pending line yet. We'll put it there and we'll watch to see if we get an overbought, and maybe it looks like we might get another cycle timing resistance ceiling pretty soon. Because looking at the dashboard, the quick flip back to the dashboard, we didn't get alert because we don't have an overbought on the Stoke, but looking across the dashboard for the pound Swiss, we do have mostly all reds, and that's what we look for. So the next step in the process would be to get us to an overbought status and then look for a broken support or a bounce off resistance, and that's the whole process. We don't get trades every single session, but during each session of 2-3 hours, I mean, the session really is 3 or 4 hours, but we demo it for 2 hours generally. And during each session, there should be usually at least one opportunity. Sometimes it's 2 or 3. Sometimes, particularly if there's no news, there's none. But we take what we can get. Sometimes having no trades is just as good. At least your capital's not at risk. We recommend people use Forex Fusion on demo without using live money. Just practice with the method, which is identifying from the dashboard, then going to trade charts that are looking for overbought, oversold, then entering on breaks of support or resistance or bounces at support and resistance using pending order lines. Do that on demo until you're profitable on 60 to 70% of your trades before you use live money. That is our suggestion. The pound Swiss is hanging with the small speculators in the positive area we'd like to see. It's above 1. So everything very conducive to more pressure, more downside activity. Has not hit its forecast low for the day, so hopefully we have room to get another trade out of this. We always look for targets 1/2 of the session range. On the pound Swiss, for example, the session range, the session range for the New York session is just about 70, so we'd be looking for a 35 pip take profit. We always start with the standard 50 pip stop loss, tighten that up as close as we can to a 1-to-1 reward to risk. You can do slightly worse than 1-to-1. Obviously, if we set a 35 pip take profit and we had a 50 pip stop and left it there, that wouldn't be 1-to-1. But we tighten up the stop as close as we can. About 8 minutes now from the New York Equity Open. Consumer confidence in about 37 minutes. Taking a look at the Euro USD trading chart, that pair really has gone sideways right around the large number 106. I mean, it looks like a flat line. Quick look back at the dashboard, you can see how many columns, how many pairs rather, are ranging. It's quite a lot. But again, the pair we're looking at, the pound Swiss, mostly red straight across. That's what we like to see for an opportunity. Joe! Sometimes I wonder if I should be turning the radio on or something rather than having dead air. Well, what can I say? This is not a radio show. Sometimes trading is waiting. Certainly less often in day trading than in other types, but it is not unusual to have 10, 15, sometimes 20-minute pauses here during our broadcast where I don't say anything while we're waiting for news or waiting for something, for an alert, especially when we're not yet in a trade. It's not a whole lot to look at. So just bear with me, please. Presets. Take a look at the other news. Other than news calendars, someone just asked me. Other than news calendars, the other site that I owe and a good Twitter feed with Forex followers. The other thing to the other site I can recommend is that one. They have good breaking news. Sometimes when a pair will shoot a certain way and you wonder why because you don't know what happened. This Forex Live has a good breaking news feed where you can see why something broke really quick. Generally, those aren't going to change our fundamental strengths for pairs, but they do give you insights as to why there might be a spike. And a spike is usually a good opportunity to get in a direction you wanted to go anyway. That GDP was only revision data. It wasn't the actual GDP. It was revision to prior. It was a slight miss, but that'll be a slight weakening of the dollar, not much. I think that's why we haven't seen much movement. Anthony, I asked support to send you the set file from the dashboard that I have running right now. I know there's a couple of our marketing people that want to announce the broadcast on a couple of places, TradingView and places like that. I'm a little hesitant to do that because the minute they do that, there's going to be 100 people watching, and I'm not going to know any of them, and it's going to be difficult for me to give personalized communication because, of course, I'm trading at the same time. Got the set file. Oh, okay, good. Anthony, I think you'll find it's really not, it should not be much different than what you had. I mean, I only personally tweak a couple of things. Might have tweaked the time frames on supply demand and Ichimoku. I mean, I don't tweak a lot. There's just maybe 2 or 3 things I tweaked on my dash. And usually they'll take my, usually they'll take my tweaks, make them official, and put them in the next update. But you have to remember that the dashboard is the one thing we put out that's very sort of subject to experimentation anyway. It really depends on everybody's unique circumstances and style. You might want to use the dashboard differently than I do. Okay, we're looking at the pound Swiss now make a move lower as pricing has gone up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the pending sell line just below the whole number of, where's the whole number here? 1.2480. I'm going to place a pending sell just below that. I'm going to go ahead and activate that so that it is active. That way, if we go ahead and get a move lower on the pound Swiss towards actually, I'll move that slightly up. We get a move lower on the pound Swiss towards our projected low of the day. We aren't necessarily going to get a huge trade out of it, but we should be able to get our 30 pip target. Once we've gone ahead and hit our forecast of projected highs and lows, as we can see from the chart, trading charts, we don't attempt further trades in that direction unless the move is fueled by an unexpected news item. So we'll keep watching here. We are about, what, a few minutes to news. Anthony, once you load my set file, your dash should look exactly like mine, with the only difference being differences in brokers. Sometimes differences in brokers will make the values slightly different, but not much. About 20 minutes until the 10 o'clock news release. I'm going to break and get a coffee. Back in a few minutes. I'm back. We did get an alert on the dashboard for the Euro USD all being a sell. However, the dash does say this is a ranging pair, and if we look at the trade chart, you can see it is really sideways. So even though it may be a sell, I think we need to see some movement a little higher in order for us to take a sell. I'll go ahead and put a pending line. Because we do have this 0.5 floor pivot resistance and large number to use at least. I'm not going to activate that just yet. Let's see what happens. We do have an active sell limit. I'm going to go ahead and put another pending sell stop. I'm going to activate that, and I'm going to set using Forex Pro Toolkit. I'm going to set those as one cancels the other. So on the pound Swiss, we're either going to go lower and activate as a sell stop, or we're going to go a little higher and I'm going to activate it as a sell limit. So we should be into the pound Swiss as a sell momentarily. Still waiting on news. Watching for other dashboard alerts, waiting for news. On the pound Swiss, we have a bracketed order that should fill one way or another for a sell. We did have Chicago PMI come out a little bit better than expected, saw a slight pop in the US dollar. I think we're actually going to fill on the sell stop for the pound Swiss before the sell limit. Because I'd rather see the sell limit fill. I'm actually going to move the sell stop just below the round number. Support line drawn at 487. So 2 minus spread would be 480. Call it 482. Yeah, we would be right above. We'll be right above that round number. Focus in on consumer confidence. One minute. Okay, consumer confidence is out. Better than expected. A little strength for the US dollar. So 3.8 higher than expected. I don't think that's going to be enough to change our fundamental strength scores. Let's take a look at the reaction on the pound yen. I mean the dollar yen, I'm sorry. So interestingly, the dollar yen still weak. Still weak. I'm going to close up that pound Aussie chart sideways. Go back to the pound Swiss. We do still have active pending order lines on the pound Swiss, so one of those I'm sure will fill. When they do fill, we will have, I'll set the target profit to 1/2 the session range, which will be 35. Our starting stop loss will be 50 pips. I will adjust that as close as I think is prudent, using the other supports and resistances and lines that we have available. If I do close up the broadcast with this Trade's still going. I've got my line set, and whatever happens will happen. This pound Swiss is bouncing sideways. Be curious to see if the limit or the stop fills first. One of them will fill. I'd prefer the limit, personally. We keep watching the Euro US dollar. We did get a dashboard alert that all conditions are a sell. However, the pair is marked as ranging, and we are going sideways. Taking that into advisement, I'd like to see a move up in the Euro US dollar. If we do get up around the forecast highs, looks like we're moving towards those now. If we get up towards those forecast highs, I'd be looking to turn on and activate the pending sell limit line. Make that an active limit. Pricing is moving up. In fact, I'll go ahead and activate that sell limit right now on the Euro US dollar. So we have two pending order lines. We are going to fill on the pound Swiss no matter what. Be nice to see us run up a little bit and fill on the Euro US dollar. No further high impact news scheduled for today. Consumer confidence came out a little high. Wasn't anything earth shattering. It was a beat by 3 points, which is not going to affect our fundamental currency strength values. The Euro USD is a fundamental sell for us on the fundamental strengths. We do have sell conditions for our other data columns, although the trend column says ranging. We did just get a fill on our sell limit for the pound Swiss franc. So we are short on the pound Swiss franc. We are down 3 pips to start the trade. Let me go ahead and adjust that take profit line. We'll see how it goes with that pound Swiss sell. Bouncing on breaker even. We started the trade down 3 pips. We're up 1. Bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Interestingly, we do have a resistance line. Watching on the right hand side of the trade screen, the Euro US dollar grind a little bit higher. If it does climb into our little zone there, we do have an active sell limit order. Using our Forex Pro Toolkit, visual trade management component. This large number on the pound Swiss, as you might expect, sees a lot of volatility. We are above it, below it by 3, 4, 5 pips. That's normal around a large number. We do have a pretty wide stop at 50 pips, even though that's a volatile pair. So not concerned about that. We are watching to see if the Euro US dollar can get up to our sell limit. Have not had any other dashboard alerts. During the session, I believe we had Euro Swiss and Euro dollar sell alerts. Euro Swiss, it was all great to get a sell alert, but the pair had already crashed ever since the Asian session, so we had no place to really get in there unless we wanted to watch it for a large pullback, and we didn't bother there. The Euro US dollar, we did get an alert for a sell condition, and so we have had that and turned on a pending sell limit. So now we're just watching to see if that fills. We did just identify during the session also the pound Swiss, seeing all of our data columns be red, so we went ahead and of our own volition went ahead and pulled up a pound Swiss trade chart, set a pair of pending sell orders. One cancels the other, either a sell stop or a sell limit. We put the sell limit just below the large number. We did get a fill right below the large number. We're watching it bounce around. Right now it's about 3 pips underwater. We set our take profit down around the projected low of the day, which would give us about a 30 pip profit, trying to squeeze a little bit of a final move out of what has been a drift lower for this pair all day. And that's where we're at. Take a quick look again at the dashboard. Still see a lot of ranging in our trend column. It's really not something we want to see on a middle of a week day, especially when there is no more news coming out. Not a great sign. It means a lot of things are moving sideways. Particularly the Euro US dollar. Otherwise, would be a nice opportunity. We did get an alert. Our trend column does say the pair is ranging. That doesn't mean we absolutely won't ever take a trade on something that says ranging. It just means be extra careful. Make sure there is some movement before you get in on it because, well, because it's ranging. All right, let's go back and look at our trade screens. We are looking at pound Swiss. We are in a short trade, down about 4 or 5 pips. Waiting for an entry on the euro US dollar. A pending sell limit line that is active. Be nice to see the euro US dollar sell limit fill. A couple of other US dollar bits of news are coming out. Richmond Fed. Nothing market moving. They're all slightly good news. Pound Swiss trade is bouncing around break even. We were down 4 or 5 pips at one point. We were up a couple. We're now up about 3. Seen a lot of volatility around the large number, as you might expect. We're not going to let that bother us too much. Expect to see some bouncings. Dolly breaking down. Well, that is a... Yeah. Anthony just mentioned Dolly breaking down. We weren't actually watching that, but it is breaking down, but it is now hitting the projected low for the day, so there's no room for us to get in there. That's why we weren't watching it. We were already near the lows. And I don't see, we always respect those projected highs and lows unless there's some real unexpected news, and I didn't see any of the news being market moving this morning, so No room for us to be getting in on the pig pile of the dollar yen down. Anyway, we're doing okay here with our pound Swiss sell. We're up a couple pips. Euro US dollar, would love to see that fill on that sell limit. We'll see if we do. Generally do the broadcast for a couple hours. We'll keep it going a little bit further, 2 to 3 hours. We'll keep it going for another few minutes here, watching the trades that we're in. Some people are discussing on Forex Live how the dollar yen is weak, even though the U.S. data was good and in fact slightly beat expectations. Well, the fact of the matter is, on our fundamental strengths column, the the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen is a sell. So we're not surprised, and the data releases were not enough of a surprise to change any of that. Silver bullish, Anthony. That's interesting. Silver correlates to the pound Swiss. Still waiting for a fill on our Euro USD. Starting to see some alerts now that the dollar yen is bottoming out on its daily ranges. Again, that's all great. It just means that anybody trading that pair had a great time of it as long as they got in during the European session. Too late for us. We don't want to buy on the projected lows, sell on the projected lows. Pound Swiss now up about 5 pips, looking for 30. Waiting for a fill on Euro US dollar. Take a quick look over the dashboard. I want to call your attention to something interesting. We actually show a supply zone for the Euro US dollar starting right up around the area. We've got a value of 630. And that begins right up around the area that we've marked and put our pending sell limits on, that are also right around the projected highs of the day. Might be a really great, low risk, easy money trade if we can get up there into that area. So we'll see what happens. Still up about 5 on the pound Swiss, waiting for a fill on the euro dollar. No further news coming out. New York time about 10:24. This is a demonstration of Forex Fusion Elite Platinum Edition. Generally run demonstration for a couple of hours in the Frankfurt Open, a couple of hours in the New York Open. Don't always do both in the same day. Always try to get either one or the other 3 days a week. As we add more presenters, I'm sure we'll be covering all of the possible sessions. Pound Swiss we're slightly up, still around Baker even. If we can get, if Pound Swiss does break down below the 80 level there, we'll go ahead and move our stop, tighten it up. Right now we're seeing more or less sideways stuff around break even. $6.20, $6.21, $6.22 now, Euro US dollar. Only about 10 pips from our entry, or potential entry, I should say. Down 5 now on pound Swiss. We've been up we've been up 5, down 5. Bouncing around break even. Volatility around the large number to be expected. I wouldn't even be surprised to see 10 or 15 up or down around this large number. Not that relevant. The slope is down. Our take profit lines are set. Take a break. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back, folks. Remember, in Forex, everything is focused first and foremost, especially in day trading, on the news. I did just notice, looking at the news, now that there is no further high impact news for the day, I did look at the upcoming session, which is what we do next. And upcoming tonight during the Asian session, we have Australian dollar GDP. Quarterly GDP is going to have a pretty large impact on the Australian dollar currency. And we've got a forecast of 0.7, which is quite a large increase from the prior reading. So we expect to see from now, probably already throughout the day, this is why the Australian dollar has been strong, which of course will correlate to the silver price. Now through tonight, until tonight's data release, we should see strength in the Australian dollar, and we call that a run-up in the strength. So because of that strength, we're going to look at other pairs versus the Australian dollar also. I did just pull up a pound versus Australian dollar chart for us to take a look at. Let's go back to our trading screens. We do see that pound Swiss is up a couple, three. Again, we're bouncing around the whole number there and have been up 5, down 5. I'm not going to get too excited either way. The Euro USD, we're waiting for a sell limit to fill. And the other thing I just pulled up was, and I did zoom out a little bit, but this is the pound Aussie trade chart. One thing I thought was interesting, if we go back and look at the dashboard for the pound Aussie, we do see reds all the way across, and we do see a supply area at 224. So let's go back and look at the trade screen. If we take a look at this 224 area, hopefully you can see my lines. 224 right around here. You know, I don't want to do it just yet, but I want to keep our eyes open for a push a little bit higher in the pound Aussie to give us an opportunity. I'm actually concerned that this might not be able to breach this large number and might, you know, crash without us. We could always set one cancels another orders, just like we did on the pound Swiss. As you can see, the last line drawn was a resistance line right at the large number, and it looks like prices are moving down right now. Speaking of taking off without us. We are quite a ways from the projected low, so there is still quite a bit of available movement. I'm going to go ahead and set a pending sell limit and activate it. Who knows, maybe we'll get a bounce up and fill. I'm not going to count on that, but I'm also not going to chase as it drops either. We miss it, we miss it. Meanwhile, our pound Swiss has moved down a little bit. We've got a take profit set at 30 pips. We are up about 15. No fill on our Euro USD. Pound Swiss moving aggressively lower now, up close to 20. We are close to our projected lows for this pair. A little aggressive to go ahead and try to squeeze in a trade a little late in the morning, a little late in the, a little close to the projected lows. Somewhat aggressive to try and squeeze in another 30 pips on this movement on this pair, but we should be all right. Try to squeeze in the pound Aussie chart in here so we can keep an eye on that also and see if we can get a fill. So we're waiting for two fills now. We're waiting for a fill on the pound Aussie sell limit. We were also waiting for a fill on the Euro US dollar limit, sell limit. We are in a pound Swiss sell trade. We had bounced right around break even, plus or minus 5. I think we even went minus 7 at one point on the pound Swiss sell. We did finally hold below the large number, up 13, 14, 15 pips. I think we've been up as much as 18 pips, looking for 30. Session range on the pound Swiss is just about 70, so we go for half of that, but we modulate those targets depending on the actual projected highs and lows and the other support or resistance lines, large numbers, whole numbers. So I've tightened up on that slightly to get us in just before the whole number and the projected low. Up 20 now, 10 more to get us out, 9 more to get us out. Expect to see continued Aussie strength from now right through the news release tonight. This is what we call a run-up trade, where in the prior session to a major news release, the currency strength will mirror what's expected for that data. In this case, the Australian GDP, prior reading minus 0.5, expected now a increase of 0.7. That's quite a large positive change, and so we're seeing a strength in what I call the run-up. So I expect Aussie strength to continue. We're not in any Aussie trades. We do have a pound Aussie sell limit that I won't be surprised if we don't even get a fill and it takes off without us. That's okay. These things happen. We don't chase. We were not going to press and chase trades. If we don't get it, we don't get it. Pound Swiss we are in as a sell. We are about 27. We're only about 3 or 4 pips from our take profit target. Okay, we just did hit our profit target. Got about 30 pips out of that. If we do glance over at the other trade charts, the euro has just crashed. The euro USD has just crashed. We did not get in on that. It didn't reach the levels we were looking for. Only off by, wow, we only missed our limit by, you know, looks like 10 pips or less, which is really, really interesting. We could have been aggressive and gone ahead, and I almost went in on this euro US dollar. I almost went and set a lower bounded sell stop and an OCO, just like we did with the pound Swiss. I didn't bother, just hoping to get up there, and looks like the euro US dollar has already started to crash. I mean, we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to change that now. We did get a fill now on our pound Aussie dollar, so I'll expand that a little bit. We did fill on that sell limit. I'm surprised we did. I didn't think we'd get back up there, but we did. We're up 8 or 10 right now. We are a little late in the session, but I do expect Australian dollar strength to continue. The New York session has about 100 pip range in this pair. We're going to go for 50 pips or thereabouts. We'll stop just short of the whole number, so we'll go for 40. We're up about 16, 17 on that trade right now. Did get about 30 on the pound Swiss. Euro US dollar, looks like we may have missed the boat, but we'll see what happens over there. I'm actually not looking to change from that sell limit. If we miss that one, we miss it. We've been up as much as 20 on this pound Aussie trade. Remember, pound Aussie is probably amongst the most volatile pairs there is. So bouncing around a large number is certainly normal. And a 50 pip stop for this pair is barely acceptable. But anyway, we'll leave that the way it is, and we'll watch. Hopefully it continues drifting lower, hits our 40 pips. Quick wrap up on the pound Swiss. We did get 30 pips on a sell. Euro, US dollar continuing lower. I'm going to guess we missed that trade, but could be wrong. Could bounce higher and still fill us. About 8 minutes until the top of the hour now. I am going to go ahead and close off the broadcast once we get to in another 8 minutes. We did get one completed trade. We are in the middle of a second trade. We like to see at least one trade per session. Doesn't always happen. We don't chase. We don't take something if it doesn't present. Sometimes we'll go a session and there will be 0 trades, and that's a little frustrating, but it happens. When I'm doing a broadcast and there's only one trade and that one loses, that hasn't happened to me yet, but I mean, it could happen. You never know. On any given set of 10 trades, you know, when you're day trading, even with perfect analysis on any set of 10 trades, you know, you could have a loss. I had somebody ask me a couple days ago, well, how many trades do you go before you take a loss? So I've gone, I often will go 30, 40 trades without a single loss. But, I mean, they do happen. Nobody never takes a loss. I start with a 50 pip stop, and then try to tighten it up to as close to 1-to-1 as possible. That's what we recommend everybody do. Suggest people practice on demo without real money until you're 60 to 70% profitable, or winning rather, on your trades. If you're anything north of 50% winning and your reward to risk is anywhere around 1-to-1, you're going to be profitable long term, and that's all that matters. Especially helpful is if you understand why you're winning and how you're winning. You don't trade using emotion, you use actual fundamental data. You understand that in day trading, news is the most important thing. Second most important would be ranges. A pair hits its projected forecast high or low, you're not going to keep trading in that direction unless the movements are caused by news releases. And that's it. It's not rocket science. It just takes a little bit of knowledge and practice. Up about 1670 pips now on our pound Aussie. Again, super volatile pair. We don't trade this a whole lot because it's so volatile. A 50 pip stop is barely minimally acceptable with the way this pair swings. The flip side of that is that a 40 pip take profit shouldn't be that difficult either. So we're watching it. We're up 15 now. We've been up to about 20 at one point. I'm not going to wait for this to close. You can see my take profit and stop loss lines. We'll leave them as they are. We don't move those. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to close up the broadcast. And it is what it is with that trade. It'll either stop or TP. I'm expecting continued Aussie dollar strength right up until the data release because they're looking for a pretty good improvement in that figure. So with continued Aussie dollar strength, we're likely to see this pair continue lower. And that's why we're in it. Didn't quite get a fill on our Euro US dollar. I'm going to go ahead and close the pound Swiss chart. We don't need that anymore. Give us a little more room to take a look at the pound Aussie. A little more room. The Euro US dollar is still a potential trade, but we're not going to move our sell limit. It is where it is, right up in that zone. And we'll just see what happens. It could still fill. It's getting a little late in the session, but it could still fill. Remember with this pound Aussie, this thing could still bounce. It could even bounce above the whole number, or the large number. We could go negative. This pair is incredibly volatile. So you just have to know that. The Euro US dollar pushing a little bit higher. I really wouldn't be surprised if this actually filled us. Okay, everybody, I'm going to pull the plug here on this broadcast session. Thanks for watching. We are about 22, 23. We're only about 15 or 20 away from our target on the pound Aussie. I'm sure that'll hit. The Euro USD, I really wouldn't be surprised if that fills. I'm going to leave that pending sell limit line there. If it fills, great. That'll be another trade. That'll be managed the same way as we manage our others. I want to thank everybody for watching. Make sure you take a test drive, forexfusion.com/test drive. If you don't already have Forex Fusion Elite Platinum Edition. My name is Walt. This is forexfusion.com. Elite Platinum Edition demonstration. Today's Tuesday, February 28th, 2017. I'll see you again either on the Frankfurt session or the New York session. Thanks for watching. See you next time.